KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital. Here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Monday morning, May the 2nd. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM, of course, here in San Juan County, streaming everywhere else on Earth at KSJE.com. And we welcome our viewers who are watching this visual radio program. The video is streaming out live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. We're glad that you are with us this morning, everybody, because coming up this morning, it is the end, almost the end of the spring semester here at San Juan College. And so members of my public speaking class, honors students, are going to be here this morning sharing their honors speeches with us this morning. So join us for that in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Later on this morning, we'll be talking technology with my guest, Lewis Campbell from Synergy Computer Systems. You'll see and hear that today at 8:50 a.m. on KSJE. Next hour, after the news at 9:06, it's Roving with the Arts, our weekday classical music program. Mick Hess will be here, of course, hosting the program. He is playing music from Valentin Silvestrov, The Prayer for the Ukraine, coming up today at 9:06 on KSJE, including some works from Tchaikovsky on the program this morning. Don't forget, of course, we invite you to connect with us on our Instagram page, in addition to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're a podcast person, you can subscribe for free to KSJE Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe and find a new program that maybe you haven't heard before by subscribing to our podcasts. Outside our studios here at San Juan College, a sunny Monday morning, 48 degrees at the moment. We are expecting a mostly sunny but breezy day today with a high of 72 degrees this afternoon. Clear tonight with a low of 45. The winds will pick up tomorrow with maybe gusts about 45 miles per hour on Tuesday. Tomorrow's high 74. Windy Tuesday night with a low of 38. Cooler but sunny on Wednesday with a high of 64 degrees and a low of 37. Mostly sunny and 76 on Thursday, warming up to maybe 83 with sunshine on Friday. Well, let me introduce my guests who are with us this morning. As I mentioned, my honors students from my public speaking class here at San Juan College. Very excited to be ending the spring semester, and so they've all prepared some honors presentations for us this morning, so we'll get started. Our first student here is Taylor Limon. Taylor, we'll have you start, and good morning. You can start whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Taylor Limon, and today I'll be informing you about parenting styles. We all have been parented in some way, shape, or form. Some of you out there are parents or soon to be parents. My knowledge of parenting practices come from the classes I've taken as a psychology student. However, the research I've done for this speech has helped supplement that knowledge. The three major parenting styles I'll be describing today are authoritative, authoritarian, and permissive. As I discuss the different styles, I like to invite you to think about how you were raised and how it fits within these approaches. Or if you're a parent yourself, take the time to think about your form of child rearing. First up is authoritative parenting. Say it with me now. Authoritative. Not to be confused with authoritarian, which I'll be covering next. Authoritative parenting is classified as a healthy combination of warmth, understanding, and a moderate amount of rules for the child. A reiteration from Gwen Dewar, PhD, from her website, ParentingScience.com. Dewar is a researcher who focuses her study on answering the burning questions of child and family development through a scientific perspective. When these types of parents reprimand their kids, they reasonably explain to them why they are being punished. Dewar continues by saying that authoritative parents encourage self-expression and individuality, which is important to a child's developmental needs. The children from this parenting practice are more likely to become self-reliant, academically successful, and well-behaved. Danny Tanner from Full House, aka America's Dad, is a prime example of this style of parenting. The second style of parenting I will be covering is just about the opposite of the previous one. The Encyclopedic Dictionary of Psychology defines authoritarian childcare as high demanding, high controlling, and not much nurturing. They expect their children to abide by their rules without any question. When their children don't obey, they are callously punished and never given an explanation as to why. These parents often see obedience as love. As reported by Michigan State University's Early Childhood Extension, parents of this nature are known to be detached and very rigid with their rules, leaving little to no communication between the parent and child, which can lead to them growing up socially inept and hostile towards authority. Parents are the role models of becoming a human, so the forceful behaviors that they exhibit will reappear in their children as they grow older. There are many types of parenting portrayed on TV, so the one that fits this category is Reverend Shaw Moore from the movie Footloose. After losing a child, he does everything in his power to protect his daughter by implementing strict rules. The third type of raising is known as permissive or child-driven. Psychology Today specifies permissive parents as caring and affectionate, but minimal command to the child. This type of guardian wants to be their child's friend rather than their parent, meaning that there is an open line of communication, but there is no guidance given to the child. Rules and expectations are hardly ever put into place, but when there are, they're rarely ever enforced. This style of parenting has shown to increase creativity in children, but they are more inclined to have a lack of boundaries, as well as not learning the word no. Just like Cher from the movie Clueless, her father in the film is an excellent example of an easygoing parent. In the scene of discussing Cher's grades, her excuse for having bad grades is that she's still consulting with her teachers about them. The dad dismisses the conversation, then praises his daughter for doing so. To sum up the three psychological approaches to raising a child: authoritative, known as being a rational parent; authoritarian, classified as tough love; permissive, aka overindulgent. I hope that the next time that you think about the people that raised you, you'll think about the methods they used to do so. Or if you're a parent yourself, ponder on how your parenting is affecting your child. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Taylor Lamone, one of my public speaking honors students, sharing her final honors speech with us this morning here on KSJE. Thank you for that. And we will go next to our next student, and Savannah Bateman is here to present her speech. So Savannah, whenever you're ready, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Savannah Bateman. Nervousness and anxiety. These feelings are something we have all experienced at some point in our lives. But what about anxiety on an extremely high level? Anxiety so high that you constantly feel it and it never goes away. This is what it can be like to have a general anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorders are a mental health disease, and the rates of anxiety are fairly high in the United States, so you all may know someone suffering from it. Over the past few weeks, I have done my research on anxiety disorders. I have investigated what they are and what causes them. Today, I will inform you first what general anxiety disorder is, next what causes anxiety disorders, and lastly what can be done to help them. First, I will inform you about what anxiety disorders are. Any anxiety disorder is going to be a mental health disorder and can be a challenge to live with for anyone affected with it. There are multiple types of anxiety disorders such as panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, or just OCD, and post-traumatic stress disorder, which is also known as PTSD. But today, I will be talking about generalized anxiety disorder. Generalized anxiety disorder is characterized by a persistent feeling of anxiety or dread. According to an article published by Aaliyah Harvey of Healthline.com, symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder are perceiving situations as more threatening than they are, difficulty letting in, difficulty letting go of worries, difficulty concentrating, difficulty sleeping, difficulty with uncertain situations, irritability, nervousness, overthinking, and difficulty relaxing. These symptoms are all different things that can be felt just by the basic emotions of nervousness and anxiety. But the difference with anxiety disorder is that these symptoms are chronic and occur consistently. No two cases of general anxiety disorder are going to be the same, but these are just some of the symptoms that may be experienced. Next, I will talk about what causes this. Because generalized anxiety disorder is a mental health disorder, it can be caused by multiple factors. According to an article by the Mayo Clinic, as with many mental health conditions, the causes of general anxiety disorder likely arises from a complex interaction of biological and environmental factors, which may include differences in brain chemistry and function, genetics, differences in the way threats are perceived, development, and personality. A lot about the way a person is raised and the traumas a person has in childhood will have a major effect on generalized anxiety disorder as well. All of these factors have an effect on the onset of symptoms and how bad a person will experience anxiety disorder. Having other mental health disorders on top of anxiety can also make it so much worse. So many things can pile up and make it so much worse for so many of the people living with generalized anxiety disorder, which you can tell by the way the symptoms affect a person. Lastly, I will talk about what can be done to help anxiety disorders. There is a range of treatment and help options for those diagnosed, but since it is such a variation of disease from person to person, what works for one person might not work for the next. Some of the options for those affected by generalized anxiety disorder include therapies, medications, and changes in lifestyle. According to the Mayo Clinic's article, medications that can be used are antidepressants. Antidepressants such as Lexapro, duloxetine, venlafaxine, and paroxetine are used to help with symptoms of anxiety disorder. Another type of medication is buspirone and benzodiazepines. Medications work in different ways for everyone, so when there's a medication that's recommended to someone, it might not work for them. Lifestyle changes can also be made, such as creating a daily and sleep schedule, as well as quitting smoking and cutting back on nicotine and caffeine, which both have a major effect on anxiety. In conclusion, today I informed you that anxiety disorder is a mental health disorder that is characterized by a consistent feeling of anxiety and dread. It is caused by multiple biological and environmental factors such as genetics and traumas. And lastly, it can be helped with therapy, medication, and changes in lifestyle. So, if anyone listening has suffered from anxiety or knows anyone suffering, remember it is a very complex disorder, and while it can be difficult to live with, it can get better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That is another one of my honor students presenting their honors speech for us this morning here on KSJE. And our next student to present his honor speech is Ashton Larson. Ashton, we're ready for you, so whenever you're ready to start, please go ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm going to be speaking on cleft palate. When you're out in public, do you ever feel self-conscious? Do you suffer from anxiety or depression? Well, many people do, and there are plenty of reasons for that. Perhaps you had a traumatic event in the past, or maybe work has been rough for you. But does a birth defect cause your self-consciousness? Cleft lip and palate is one of the most common congenital disabilities, affecting thousands per year. And although cleft lip and palate are common, not many people actually know about it, which is why I chose this topic. After the time I've spent with my brother, who has a cleft lip, and after investigating this topic, I feel that I've gained a good amount of knowledge. So today I'd like to inform you about what I've learned, a few notable aspects of cleft lip and palate to spread awareness. First, I'll tell you about its causes and likelihood, and then I'll relate its treatments, and finally, its long-lasting effects. First, cleft palate is a birth defect that affects about 1 in 2,000 babies every year. That's about 7,000 live births per year in the United States alone. You have likely seen a person born with a cleft lip or palate, whether you knew it or not. According to the Mayo Clinic, cleft lip and palate originates in the 2nd and 3rd months of pregnancy, when the baby's face and mouth don't fuse properly, leaving an opening or cleft. Some babies can be born with both defects at once, but others may only have a cleft lip or a cleft palate. Doctors know the time frame this occurs, but it isn't easy to pinpoint exact causes. We do, however, know that know what makes a cleft more likely. The Mayo Clinic also states that family history, exposure to substances, having diabetes, and being obese during pregnancy can cause this disability. Smoking during pregnancy, drinking, or taking certain medications are significant contributors. It is crucial to avoid these substances during pregnancy to decrease the risk of birth defects. But the odds of having a baby with a cleft can never be completely zero. Second, cleft lip and palate should be treated at a young age. The CDC says that surgery to repair a cleft lip is recommended within the first 12 months of life, and surgery to repair the lip and palate should be done within the first 18 months. It is difficult to watch a baby or a small child undergo reconstructive surgery and recovery, but they must get treated for better health. My little brother is about 2 years old now, and he's had 2 surgeries already to correct his lip and upper gums. Children must get medical attention young because cleft lip and palate can affect breathing, hearing, eating, and speech. It's difficult for babies to eat when they have a cleft lip. So my brother uses special bottles because he isn't capable of creating suction. Luckily, surgeries can fix problems like these. The CDC says that with treatment, most children with orofacial clefts do well and live a happy life. But long-lasting psychological effects are also prevalent. Children born with cleft lips and palates often struggle with anxiety and depression, partly due to stress caused by intensive medical care. But it was also found that there was some bullying involved. A study by the National Library of Medicine in 2015 showed that developing social and emotional problems is about 95% likely after 1 or more surgeries with anesthesia. Children who undergo surgeries at young ages have high chances of having ADHD, sleeping problems, and developmental struggles. Many kids also have social and behavioral issues caused by concerns about their appearance. Very young children don't tend to care how they look, but they may develop negative self-conscious thoughts as they get older. As good as our doctors are today, most children still have scars left over from plastic surgery. And this can cause bullying and a fear of being judged by peers. It's not easy having cleft lip and palate, but with loving support, children with a cleft lip and palate can live happy, fulfilling lives. So today, I showed some notable aspects of cleft lip and palate. I first showed its causes and its likelihood. Then I related forms of treatment. And finally, I talked about some lasting effects. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to have come on the radio today. And I know that spreading awareness about cleft lip and palate is essential to appreciate the people around us and what they go through in their lives. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Another one of my honor students from my public speaking class here during the spring semester at San Juan College. As things wrap up, we're into, some of the final weeks of the semester. Just 2 more weeks are left. So we'll let Ashton collect his things and exit the studio here before we hear from the next 2 students. So thank you very much for that. We have a few more students left. In fact, we're going to take a short break. We have 3 more left to go, so we will swap out our first 3 students with our last 3 students and be back with more after this on KSJE. KSJE is proud to support Riverfest, Memorial Day weekend, May 27th, 28th, and 29th on the banks of the Animas River in Farmington. Enjoy all-day music, food, beer gardens, vendors, crafts and raft rides, the recycled art show, and the plein air painters. Riverfest, a jolt-worthy event, proudly hosted by the River Reach Foundation, sponsored in part by the City of Farmington and the Farmington Convention and Visitors Bureau. Find out more at riverfestnewmexico.com. KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. The Interactive Art of Artrageous, Saturday, May 21st at 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or 505-599-1148. KSJE and San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week. Week 15, Don't Cram. While it may seem like a good idea to learn an entire semester's worth of information in one night, it's not an effective study habit, and it can cause a lot of unnecessary stress. Instead, study a little bit of information every day for at least 20 to 30 minutes. You'll likely remember more later, and you'll feel calm and prepared when it comes to exam time. The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College. Welcome back to the Scott Michlin Morning Program. This Monday morning here on KSJE. We are hearing from some of my honors students from my public speaking class here in the spring semester from San Juan College. And so we'll continue with our honor students this morning and hear from the next presentation from Hannah Wilson. Hannah is here. Good morning, and you can start whenever you're ready.
Good morning. And I'd like to say it's a nice little office you got here.
Thank you.
So, to give context, during spring break at the top of Pikes Peak, which is around 14,000 feet of elevation, I noticed something that was quite peculiar to how I felt. As people around me were starting to get elevation sickness and said how the pressure felt uncomfortable. In comparison, I felt elated and more normal than I ever have. Why was this? I didn't understand how elevation sickness was only affecting the others. That's when I discovered the phenomena of altitude on ADHD patients. So I went down this research rabbit hole of databases and athletic testimonies. These were the people who would sit at the top of the mountains and be prepared to run a mile. As it turns out, altitude plays a role in the development of ADHD, and technology used today and impacts brain chemicals of ADHD patients. It's quite fascinating as a college-age student who has ADHD. I wondered what more could be done for patients in college other than traditional stimulant medications. I think that it's important to include why we should care because, quote, ADHD is a neurological disorder and disease that affects 5 to 7% of the world's young population. And that's an enormous amount of people. But they found that this number was less in states of higher altitude. Studies suggest that there's actually a decreased likelihood of ADHD for each additional foot of elevation. By about 0.001% per foot. I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but for example, our state of New Mexico, with a median elevation around 5,700, has a 5.7 decrease compared to sea level. Now that's a significant amount. Now technology can also affect ADHD, such as hyperbaric chambers, quote, are used to treat conditions by delivering oxygen at a greater than normal atmospheric pressure. These are the same tools that athletes use for higher elevation. Athletes report after their treatments heightened mental clarity, improvement of sleep. ADHD patients who experience higher atmospheric pressure see benefits like this. And then the causation of this phenomenon would be that elevation decreases oxygen in the brain, which then increases dopamine, which ADHD patients often need because that's what they lack the most. A Journal of Attention Disorders states that brain dopamine levels, which play a critical role in motor, motivational, and reward processes, are abnormal in individuals with ADHD. To conclude, altitude may be a preventative factor of ADHD. We already have the technology today that athletes use in therapeutic results. And this dopamine factor is vital to how we treat ADHD in the future. And that's something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Hannah Wilson with her honor speech for us this morning here on KSJE. Thank you for sharing that. And we'll go to our... You're very welcome. We'll go to our next student. Christina Reza is here to share her honor speech with us. Christina, good morning whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Thank you. Alrighty. Have you ever wondered why your child may be having trouble falling asleep, throwing more than normal tantrums, not being as social, or going outside as often? Well, what if I were to tell you that the answer may be in the palm of your hand? Hello. My name is Christina Reza, and after a couple of weeks of research on this topic, I will inform you all on how too much screen time can have a negative effect on children. With this research that I've gathered, I will tell you how too much screen time affects a child, the neurological issues that screens cause, and lastly, how to substitute different activities that can help keep children occupied. First, how do you know if your child is having too much screen time? According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, children 18 months or younger are recommended no screen time unless video chatting with family and friends. And then for children 18 months to 2 years, it's recommended to avoid solo use, and instead to watch an educational video with a caregiver to ensure understanding about what is going on. And then about 2 to 5-year-old children, it's recommended that screen time is limited to an hour a day. Then children 6 and older, it's recommended for parents to set their screen time to be consistent with the time limits and the types of media they consume. Now with this information, you may wonder how screen time affects a child. Screens cause a high demand of visual input in infant and toddler brains. So when they're looking at a screen, they're receiving a lot of information and visual input into their developing brain. So then their brain is on overdrive looking at these screens in colors. And then when you take that screen away, their brain doesn't understand this new input from the world off screens, causing the child to get a little more angry and frustrated, forcing them to look elsewhere for that visual stimulation to keep up with their hyperactive brain. Next, in 2019, there was a research study on GMAINnetwork.com done by 3 different doctors. In this study, there was about 47 children between the ages of 3 and 5, in which they found that children who exceeded the recommended 1 hour of screen time from the American Academy of Pediatrics had changes that lowered the amount of white matter in their brain. Now, it's important to understand that the white matter of the brain is associated with literacy skills such as imagery, self-regulation, and mental control. With this study, the children were given a cognitive test, where it concluded that they performed worse on because they weren't able to recall information as quickly, so their cognitive speed was slower compared to those who didn't have as much screen time. This study has shown us that consuming too much screen time can cause a neurological issue. Lastly, now that I've informed you on how too much screen time affects a child and the neurological issues that screens can cause, we'll look at activities that you can substitute to keep your children occupied. According to healthykidshealthyfuture.org, the different strategies you can do to reduce screen time is by participating in children's activities and games as much as possible. This will look different for every family because of their different needs, but some examples that this could look like are board games, arts and crafts, story time, making food, or even drawing and coloring. These activities can help with brain stimulation. As I wrap up my speech, I have now informed you all about how having too much screen time affects a child, the neurological issues that screens can cause, and activities that can replace some screen time. With this information, you can now be fully aware of how screens have a negative effect on children with their social and emotional development. Now, as I end my speech, I want to express to you all that screens don't ruin your child's brain, but setting realistic boundaries for your family should be prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another one of my honor students presenting their honor speech. And they're very excited because they're almost done with this class. That's why they're smiling at the end of their speeches. So almost done, one more to go. There you go. Let's hear from our next student this morning. Margaret Kirk is here to present her honor speech. So Margaret, we'll have you start whenever you're ready. Good morning.
Good morning. Have you ever sat there and questioned yourself, what I'm doing, is it right? Then you feel different emotions piling up and you just get overwhelmed? Well, hello, my name is Margaret Kirk, and today I'm going to inform you about anxiety and its effects. First, I'm going to talk about what is anxiety, then I'm going to talk about what effects it has on your mental health, and finally how we can deal with anxiety. Many of us are college students, and majority of us have a job and possibly a family. But we are just one person who has feelings. Life can be very stressful, and you may feel stressed out about school, tragic events such as the pandemic, or maybe something bad happened as a kid or an adult, or just a life change. Everyone feels stressed from time to time. It is normal to feel that way when facing those challenging situations in your life. So what is anxiety? Anxiety is your body's reaction to stress. It's the feeling of worry and nervousness or unease. Anxiety can have a serious consequence on your mental health. If you aren't aware, your mental health includes your emotions, emotional, psychological, and self-well-being. It affects how you feel, the way you act. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from your childhood through adulthood. Anxiety can have effects throughout your body. Some effects anxiety has on your mental health, according to www.mentalhealth.org, are 1. Eating too much or too little. 2. Having low or no energy. 3. Feeling numb or like nothing matters. 4. Drinking, smoking, or using drugs more than usual. And 5. Hearing voices or believing things that are not true. Everyone experiences anxiety, and sometimes that stress can feel overwhelming. I've been there. So, how can we deal with our anxiety, you may ask? Well, everyone has their own ways or opinions, but according to the research I have done, here is what I found from the National Institute of Mental Health. There are many ways to manage anxiety, and here are a few. 1. You can adapt to a healthy diet. Eating a healthy diet can help with high levels of stress. 2. Exercise. Exercising is a great stress buster. It can take your mind off all your worries and make you focus on the movement involved with your physical activity. Exercising helps to fight the adverse of anxiety on the body. Regular exercising has been proven to reduce depression and the negative mood by increasing your self-esteem and cognitive function. 3. Practice meditation. Meditation has been demonstrated to have a positive effect that helps your mind cope with anxiety. Meditation gives us the ability to recognize and manage our negative feelings. The feelings of being overwhelmed and the questioning about what if what you're doing is right. I often deal with it every day, it seems like, with being a college student and working. Every day I wake up and I tell myself, you can do it. The days are winding down to graduation and new beginnings. So the next time you are studying for a test or you forgot to do an assignment and you are feeling very nervous to where you start to not take care of yourself, please don't stress yourself out too much. Once you start to feel anxiety, it tends to happen more than you like, and you can do you no good. We are all people with our own problems, and we all need to take care of ourselves. To conclude, in my speech, I informed you about what anxiety is, what effects it has on your mental health, and how to deal with anxiety. I hope you stay true to yourself and know you aren't alone. To end off, I'm going to say a quote. This quote stood out to me, and I hope it does to you as well. Finding your way to managing your anxiety, panic, or depression is a journey of self-awareness that only you can take. Only you can figure out what you need and what you like and what works best for you. Only you can bring yourself to the place you want to be. The road may be long and full of trials and errors, but it's the only way. And yes, you are strong enough to get through it. Keep traveling, rest when you are tired, and push yourself when you get discouraged. Most importantly, believe you can do it. This quote is by Mindy Reed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Margaret Kirk. She is another one of my honor students this semester here at San Juan College for my public speaking class. And thank you all for coming in this morning. I'm proud of all of you. My 6 honor students are with us this morning, so thank you very much. I will see you all in class tomorrow for our final few sessions, right? So they're smiling. They can't wait. So thank you very much. And I'll be back with more here on KSJE in just a moment. The time right now is 8:44.
What the European Union's new law means for internet users all over the world. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech. I'm Kimberly Adams.
Marketplace Tech is supported by Progressive. Progressive Commercial Insurance offers personalized rates and customizable coverage